So tonight we're going to make Victoria sandwich and 15s, okay? So I'm going to crack on with the Victoria sandwich because I want to get it into the oven and get it ready. So so I can show you at the end, you know, how to make it, how to put it together. So whenever I'm making a Victoria sandwich, what I always do is I always weigh out the eggs, okay? Now the recipe says 4 eggs, and I'm going to use these. They're silicone. They're like 8-inch round silicone sandwich tins. But if you just have ordinary sandwich tins, that's fine. But these are silicone, so they're really handy, and they're I just usually just grease them with a little bit of butter, and the sponge comes out great. They don't stick to it, so it turns out great. So for this recipe, for these sponges, for these ones here, now I know the recipe says 4. My eggs are a little bit small, so I'm using 5 eggs. So what you do then is you weigh out your eggs. The very first thing when you're doing a Victoria sandwich is weigh your eggs, and then whatever weight your eggs are, that determines the rest of your ingredients. Okay, so I have these weighed out, and they worked out about 13 ounces. Okay, so they were just over 12, so they're about 13 ounces. All right, so then I weighed out the rest of the ingredients. So I have 13 ounces of butter, 13 ounces of sugar, and 13 ounces of self-raising flour, and I also have some baking powder as well. I have got baking powder. I'm going to put baking powder. Sorry, I have to get the baking powder. That's the garden. Sorry. Okay.
Joanna,
Yeah.
sorry. It's I'm cooking along here, so I've just weighed out 4 eggs on the digital scales, and it's 9.7 ounces. There's 9 ounces. Yeah. So what do I do? What am I doing with the rest then?
Weigh another egg as well.
Another one, right? Okay.
Yeah, 5 eggs. Yeah.
Right. So that's 12 ounces now then.
Yeah. So then everything else is 12 ounces of butter, 12 ounces of sugar, and
Okay.
12 ounces of flour. Okay, for you.
Yeah. Okay.
That's yours. Okay. So
yeah.
Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to in a bowl here. I'm going to put in my. Make sure your butter is quite soft. Okay. I'm using real butter. Okay. So make sure you can put the spoon through it, and that it's quite soft. Okay. So we're going to do and I've got weighed out 13 ounces of sugar, caster sugar as well. Okay. So then what you do, we were doing the sponge last week, you're creaming the butter and the sugar together, okay? Before I do that, I'm going to get the eggs. I'm going to whisk out the, get my eggs ready. Have them whisked and all, okay? So I'm just going to crack the eggs and keep them. And have them, at least if you have them ready then, you add your ingredients in, okay? Okay, so that's the egg. Just going to put them over there. And then just give them a whisk. You just have them ready then to go when you need them. Okay. So in this Victoria sandwich, I'm going to put in some fresh cream and some strawberries as well, and some strawberry jam. Okay. So, and then I usually decorate it with strawberry jam, and then sprinkle like ice and sugar on top of them. Okay. So we'll just get that ready. Yeah. I just want this and put it back. We're going to need that for the cream. Okay, so use the back of your spoon, and this is the creaming method we were talking about last week. Do you remember? So you just use the back of your spoon. Can everybody see what I'm doing? It's very funny now, the light, because usually it's getting dark at this time, and I have all the lights off. So
I know, I was thinking that it's very strange to be sitting in daylight in this class.
Yeah, usually you have all the curtains, the
lights and lamps on usually.
Great, isn't it? Okay, so just keep giving it a good stir, give it a good mix. And what you're doing is this is the creaming method. So we talked about this last week. So you're getting the butter and the sugar in together. Okay. And then just make sure you get all the lumps out of the butter and make it nice and creamy. So you want it to be nice and soft. Okay. And then when you hear the crunch, it's gone out of the sugar, then you know it's ready. I'm going to make 15s as well. I'm going to show you how to make 15s as well. So while this is cooking, we'll do the 15s. And Louise, how are you getting on?
Yeah, great, Joanna, I think.
Yeah, that's okay.
I haven't started the creaming yet, but I'm getting there. Don't worry.
Okay. If you have an electric mixer, you can use your electric mixer. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just if I do electric mixer, a lot of people don't have one. They don't have an electric whisk, and then I just show you. So everybody has a bowl and a spoon. Well, most people. So it's like a cake that anyone can make, you know. So. So just see the way it's turning like a nice white color now. Well, this would be a nice cake for Easter Sunday. A nice treat for as if you don't have enough treats on Easter Sunday. Okay.
Yours will probably not last to Sunday, Joanna.
No, I'm actually keeping this for my mother-in-law for her birthday tomorrow. So she's going to get this for her birthday tomorrow. So it worked out okay. Okay. So just keep the eggs another wee mix. And then I'm going to add half the eggs, okay? I'm going to add half the eggs. And then just give them a good mix. Does anybody make their own cakes, their own sponges?
Sometimes, yes.
I do.
What would you make?
A lemon drizzle mainly would be my favourite to make.
Oh yeah, I love lemon drizzle. Yeah, you could probably use lemon drizzle, and you could probably put lemon into this recipe and do lemon drizzle. I have a nice recipe for lemon drizzle that I did. It's kind of similar to this. So.
Joanna, will you send that to us? I'm dying to try it.
I will. Sorry, I was meant to do that last week. Yes, I will.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Yeah, I was back in work. I work in a school during the week, and I was back to school last week, so it was a bit hectic because it was year 12s for GCSE assessment, so it was a bit mental.
Gosh.
Okay, so then we've added the egg. Okay, so I'm going to add half the flour, and I'm going to put in oh sorry, I've got the wrong one. It's bicarbonate soda. Give me a second. I'm going to get the baking powder here. I can find it. So the reason I add baking powder is it helps it rise, even though there's self-raising flour, it has baking powder in it. Okay, so in this recipe, I just add a teaspoon of baking powder. Okay, and I'm going to sieve this. All right. So I'm going to sieve half of this into it, and then I'm going to fold it in like we did last week with the. Do you remember when we were doing the coconut tart? We folded in the flour. Okay, so I'm just going to put half of this in. And the reason you fold in the flour and not beat it is because you want to get as much air into your cake as you can. All right. So you just use your spoon and fold it. See the way I'm doing it gently, and just turn your bowl to the side like that, and then make sure you get all the flour that's at the bottom and fold it in. So while you're doing that, you're getting all the air into your cake. Okay, so your cake will be nice and light. Okay.
Joanne, can I ask,
Yeah.
you see, if you were turning that into, say, a chocolate cake and you're putting in, say, the cocoa powder, how much cocoa powder would you do? Say
I would just take out about 2 ounces of the flour and put in 2 ounces of cocoa powder. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Joanna, there's a question there from Patricia in the chat. Do we still use the back of the spoon when eggs are added?
Yeah, we're just using the whole spoon. Whenever we're adding the eggs, okay, I've added half of the eggs, I'm gonna add the other half now, okay? And you just use the whole spoon, okay? And you can go a little bit harder with the eggs, you can beat the eggs, okay? So beat your eggs in and use your whole spoon, use the whole spoon, you know, the back and the front of the spoon, and just beat it like that, okay? Now, if you have your mixer, you can do this in your mixer as well, you know. And then you can add your flour and then go gently with the flour. So if you're using your mixer, go a little bit harder when you're doing the eggs, and then turn it down slower when you're putting in your flour, okay? Now, so I'm going to add in the rest of the flour, okay? So I'm going to fold in the rest of the flour. Now I'm using Odlum's flour. Odlum's do really nice self-raising flour. I get it in Linus's, you know, Linus is the wholesale place. They do really nice flours. And Linus's Odlum's is a really good baking flour. They do a nice cream flour. It's called cream flour as well, which is good for baking. Okay. So just fold it in gently and just make sure you turn it around and you get rid of all the flour. And lift your spoon up while you're doing it. Okay. And make sure you get all the flour from the bottom of your bowl and not the sides, okay? And that's it there, all right? Now, I'm going to just get some butter here, and I'm going to grease it with the paper from the butter. I'm just going to use a little bit of, use the grease from the butter instead of using oil, okay? Just grease it really well. Turn it around, make sure you get into the corners as well, okay? Now, even though this is silicone, I still grease it. I like to grease it. You don't have to line these ones, but if you're using like metal tins, you can line them if you want. Okay. These ones here are so handy. These are great. I think I got them in Home Bargains. They're like $3.99 each, and whenever you make your cake, they're so easy. It comes out, you know, you just turn it upside down and peel it back. So then all you do then is divide your mixture. Okay. Just divide it in between the two of them. All right. Everybody see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the light okay? Does everybody see okay?
Yeah, it seems a bit brighter, but that's probably the sunlight like coming through your window. But it's okay. Like I can see it fine. But
Yes, so can I.
if anybody else can't, yeah, I think everybody seems okay.
It's 100%, Joanne.
Yeah, that's grand.
100%.
I'm still having all the lights on here, you know. It's just, the lights, the blinds are open, so. So make sure you scrape your bowl, okay, and divide it evenly between the two, and then scrape out your bowl. Don't leave anything in it. Okay. Now, a good tip, and I don't know whether I told you this before, is if you're baking and you're having your bowls left and there's nobody to lick your bowl, or you've got some stuff left in it, even if your cake's in the oven, clean it out with a tissue or a kitchen roll, because what happens is your sinks will start to clog up, which I have found, you know, doing a lot of baking. When you're washing up, you know, your outside pipes will start to clog up, you know, so make sure you scrape your bowl out really, really well. I learned that the hard way. an ear bashing for my husband. You know, you think you're rinsing it in hot water. What happens is it's go down the sink and it's just lying at the edge of your pipes. So clean your bowl out when you're finished if you're using butter or cream or anything like that, okay? Now I have a little bit extra in that, so I'm going to even it out. Okay. Now that's your basic Victoria sandwich recipe. So you can add your different flavorings to it, like and you know what I forgot to add? I forgot to add almond essence. I usually put almond essence in it, but, or not almond essence, vanilla extract. Forgot to put it in, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. I might put a little bit in fresh cream when I'm doing it. Okay.
Well, Anna, sorry, when do you put the vanilla in?
Just put it in with your eggs, Louise. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Just to put it in with your eggs. I forgot, but it doesn't really matter. It still tastes okay. And then I'm going to put this in at 180 degrees for about 25 minutes in the center of the oven, okay? So. Now I'm just going to put the timer on. Okay. So that's that done. So
Joanna,
that's,
can I ask a question, please?
yeah, go ahead.
Look, if you were making a coffee cake, whenever I made it, it was just a fluke. It turned out okay. I actually made some coffee, you know, just with the granules and a bit of boiling water. But
Yeah.
I didn't know it just happened to turn out all right. But I don't know, you know, what sort of coffee you use and what.
You can use, you can just use, if you want to use coffee essence, or you can use ordinary coffee and just dissolve it with a little bit of hot water.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Let it cool down, you know.
Good.
Yeah.
Just add a wee bit, you know, just a wee bit of flavour to it. Sorry, this oven's beeping again.
What's wrong? I thought it was sliced, you see.
Hold on a sec. No. Yeah, so and then if you're doing your buttercream, you can add coffee essence to your buttercream, you know.
I wasn't sure how much coffee, you know, to put in, much coffee powder and then how much water and how much.
I have a recipe for coffee cake. I'll send with a lemon drizzle, and I'll send it to Paula for you.
Okay.
Okay. I'll send it on to you. And then you can try it yourself.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't want to be banned, you know, that coffee thing in case I wouldn't use it, you know, that camp coffee or any of those things. I thought I'll just use the coffee that I had.
Yeah, you can use just granules and dissolve them in water and then just leave them sitting for a while, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do the 15s now. Show you how to do these 15s. So now I was saying to you, I'm going to do strawberries and cream with the cake, and I'm going to put some jam in it as well. Okay, so we'll just leave them sitting there. Right, so for the 15s, the 15s are quite easy. Okay, 15 of digestive biscuits, 15 big marshmallows, 15 cherries. Now you can use cherries. I used these here because I didn't have any cherries today, and I just got these ruby berries and cherries. They're dried ones, you know. So I've used them. I've made some earlier on, which I'm going to show you at the end. I'll slice them up and show you. And I also put a little bit of chocolate chips. I just got some chocolate, and I'm cutting this up into like little chips, chocolate chips, you know. So I'm going to put them in with the ruby berries and cherries. And I'm using, now in the recipe it says condensed milk, okay, but I picked this up today and it's caramel, so this is the one you use for banoffee. So the one that you use for this is normally condensed milk, okay, but the caramel, I use the caramel and it's okay, you know, it's still sticky. It's a little bit thicker, but it still does the job. Okay, so I have some of this here, which I'm going to use. So I have used half of it. So you really only need, it says 200 mils, okay, and there's 400 mils in a can. It's about 397 grams, okay. So it's really half a tin for this recipe. So if you want to use the whole tin, just double up the recipe. So you'll need 30 biscuits and 30 marshmallows. Okay, so I'm using these marshmallows here. So these are the giant marshmallows, but you can use, you know, the little ones, you can use them as well. I'm going to put these up.
Somebody has asked, Joanna, if they have the mini marshmallows, how many do you use? What weight marshmallows?
Yeah, I did this a few weeks ago and I can't remember the weight. You kind of just use your judgment, okay? Put in, we were counting them. I was doing them in school, and we were counting them out. So we put about 60 in, you know, but we had the kids counting them out. So we used about 60 of the little marshmallows. But whenever you're mixing it, you'll see, you know, if you're putting too much in, you don't want the mix to be really, really dry, because then it won't set. So you have to keep your mix quite a bit sticky, and then if you think you need more marshmallows, you can add more marshmallows as well. So probably half a bag of like what you kind of, you know, that size of a bag of marshmallows. You could use probably half of it would probably be enough, you know. But you'll know when you're mixing it if it's getting too dry. Don't add any more marshmallows to it. Okay. So here I have just ordinary plain digestive biscuits. Okay, and I have a wee blender here, and I'm going to blend. Now, if you have a rolling pin and a plastic bag, you can do that as well. Okay. So I'm just going to put these up in this little blender. So just be a bit noisy for a minute. Okay. Now you don't want them to be like crumbs. You still want like a wee kind of a little bit of a chunk, you know, when you bite into them. So I'm just going to give them another little blitz. Okay, so there's still some lumps in it. Okay. Now if you were doing this for a cheesecake, you'd want them to be completely like crumbs. But I'm just going to break them up. You want them to be a little bit chunky as well. So I'm just using 15 digestives, okay? Yeah, I should do it. Okay. So put them in there. All right. And they're still, you can see they're still a little bit chunky. Okay, there's still like pieces in it. I'll just move that over there. All right. Now, so then I'm going to get a wee knife, and I'm going to just put up this. This is a great job for over Easter, you know, with kids or the grandkids. Get them to cut up, or you can use like, you know, the wee scissors. Get them to do that. So I have 15 giant marshmallows here. Put them in. All right.
Joanna,
Then, yeah.
I always wondered why they were called 15s.
Yeah, it's 15 of everything.
I never knew that.
Well, do you know what? I never heard of 15s until I moved up here. I never heard of them until I moved
I never
here.
liked them really, because I'm not a big fan of marshmallows, but I have a friend who's addicted to them. She loves them.
Yeah. I know.
I've learned something the night too, Paula and Joanne. I didn't know why they were called 15s.
No, that's a revelation to me now. So it's 15 of everything, that's why.
Yeah. But you know, you have the base. Is the chocolate or the biscuits and the caramel or the condensed milk. Okay, so that's what's keeping it together. So you can add in, you know, if you don't like cherries, you don't have to put them in. You can add in just chocolate chips, or, you know, different kind of sweets. You know, if you want to put in different like wee jellies or something, or, you know.
Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because Maura said, you know, she's the same as me, and Patricia's put in the chat that she didn't know it either, so that's good.
Anne Bradley says she uses scissors dipped in water. Good woman, that's a good tip.
Very good.
That would save me a lot of time. Good idea. So yeah, they're so easy to make. Like if you're using the wee marshmallows, or you have the wee scissors, and you have these cut up. They only take a few minutes. They're not that hard to make. Okay. So And then with these ones here, these like ruby berries and cherries that I'm putting in, I'm just going to add in, so it's about 30 there, but because they're only like half the size of normal cherries, you know, so I'm just putting them in, okay? And I have some chocolate here, some just chocolate. I'm just going to have like eight little, it's cooking chocolate, okay? So I'm just going to get a big knife here, this. And then just use the top of your knife. So when you're chopping like this, just put your hand on the top of the knife, okay? And keep your hand out of the road. And then it's a good way of, if you're chopping anything, you know, keep your hand on the top of the knife like the way I'm doing it. And then just use the knife, the pressure of your hand. And then that's it. So you're just making like little chocolate chips, okay? And that's that there. And then I'm going to use, let me see, I just checking. So I'm going to use, now I use coconut as well, but I'm going to use coconut to put on the greaseproof paper, and then you roll it up with the coconut. So you can see this here, this is what you would use if you want to make banoffee. Okay, this is caramel. Okay, so when I worked in hotels, we used to get like tins of condensed milk and put them into big huge saucepans, like about 20 tins, and put them into a big saucepan, bring it up to the boil and leave it for about 10 hours. And then when you open them up, it turned out like this. So so the manufacturers of this Carnation realized that that's what people were doing when they're making banoffee. So they've done it for us. So now you can buy it, and you just, if you're making banoffee, you just make your cheesecake base, you know, with the bread crumbs or the biscuit crumbs and your margarine, and press it down. And then if you put that on top with your bananas, you can make your own banoffee then. Okay, so I'm going to use a wooden spoon for this. So I just want to check this up. Yeah, the cake's turning, the cake's coming on all right. So then just use your wooden spoon and mix it all together and get it all into. Now the condensed milk is a little bit runnier, okay? So with this banoffee, the caramel, you just have to keep mixing it just to get it all. It will eventually mix up, okay? So then you make it into like, you roll it out like into a big like sausage shape, and then you roll it up, and you coat it in you roll it in coconut. So you know when you get your little 15s, there's always like coconut on the outside. So you don't put coconut in them, you put coconut on the outside. Okay. Now I think what I've done is, in the last batch that I made, I have used more than half the tin, you know, so I'm going to add a little bit more of this because it's a bit dry. So I think I used over half the tin in the other one. So that's why this is kind of a little bit dry. So I just want to use a bit more so it'll stick together. Does anybody make these? I know, Anne, you were saying you make them.
Not that often, no, haven't made them in years.
Yeah. You know, you can also make them, you can also take them in like a wee ball and shape them, okay, and roll them in your hand and roll them in coconut, and then set them in their little cupcake, you know, these little trays here. And you can do it that way, you know, if you want to do it with kids. But I just do it like a big sausage, and then it's handier. And then when it's ready, you stick it in the fridge, and then all you have to do then is put it up into slices. Okay. Now, so I have some greaseproof paper here. All right. And then I have some coconut. This is just desiccated coconut. Okay. So I'm just going to sprinkle some onto this. So in the recipe, it says 100 grams of desiccated coconut. So I'm just going to cover it out. Okay, like that. Spread it out. Okay. And then all you do then is, now you can use your hands if you want. I just roll it down into like a sausage shape. Okay. Now these last ages. You know, if you make these, you put them in a wee tin. The last ages. So they're a nice little treat to have, you know, if you have visitors coming or somebody coming. So you can make them in advance. They never last that long in here, so unless I hide them. That's the worst. Okay, so now, so then you're just going to use just going to use my fingers, okay? So just use one part of it. Now you can use your hands to shape it, okay, like a sausage. And then because I put the coconut over here, I can roll it, okay? You can roll it up like this. Then use your hand and push it down like that into a sausage shape, okay? And then push it up together like that, okay? Now get your greaseproof paper, fold it in at the edges, and shape it out like this, your hand, to like a cylinder shape, okay? And then you have your sausage shape. I'm just going to wash the out, please. And then I'm just going to wrap it in cling film, just a wee bit of cling film, so you can tighten it, you know, and you get more shape on it. So I'm just going to grab the tin. Just going to dry this a wee bit. All right. Yeah. So just roll it out, wrap it up really tight in your cling film, and then you get a good shape on it. Okay. So I'm just going to cut that there. So bring it over like that. Okay, and then just roll it tightly. Use your hands to make it the shape, okay, like that. All right, and then put that in your fridge for a couple of hours. And then when it's ready, I'll do the one, here's what I prepared earlier, because I haven't put the fridge. I'll show you. I'm a bit organized today.
We'd be having a wee cup of tea, Paula, and one of them if we were out in your class, wouldn't we?
Exactly, we would.
So you
Just have to imagine it, Joanne.
I know, it'd be great, wouldn't it? So, oh well, hopefully it'll be all coming back together again soon. Light at the end of the tunnel, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's looking like it, and the weather's getting good, so. Do you know, it was 18 degrees today.
I know, I was roasting today. I was up to roast.
23 in England.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the normal temperature for this time of year is 12. So,
Right.
very good.
Right.
Okay, so
next couple of days it's going to be very good, or towards the end of the week we're going to be getting near the 20s.
Hopefully, yeah.
for Easter.
It's a pity there was nothing open we could go to.
I know.
Especially the hairdressers.
I know,
Yeah.
God, I need the hairdressers.
Oh, I'm bad at that.
I wasted my money just before COVID-19 started. I got a root perm in my hair, and you know the way you get the 6 week cut, after 6 weeks you get your hair cut.
Yeah.
Which I never ever got to it, so I just wasted my money.
The hairdressers are going to be jammed.
Yeah.
So if you cut it like that with a saw. I'm using like a serrated edge knife, okay? Then it comes out, you can see, I'll show you now. Just cut them into like an inch thick, inch and a half thick. All right. So can you see the wee cherries in it? On the
Yeah.
Yep. Look,
Yeah.
look.
yeah. So that's all you do then, and then just put them into their little trays. And then, you know, you can keep that wrapped up in the fridge. It will last nearly a week in the fridge. And then just cut it off as you need it, you know, and you have your little slices. You see that? Okay. So if you want as well, you can add a little bit more coconut to the top of it. So just sprinkle a wee bit of coconut over it, okay? If you like coconut, I love coconut. All right, so that's the 15s. I'll just leave that sitting there, okay? So that's how easy they are. We'll all be a spot of schools after this. Yeah. So I'm going to get some cream ready for the sponges. It's starting to rise now. Looks like it's coming up lovely. So I'm just going to wipe this all down.
Hello, Mary. See, Mary, you're back tonight. You didn't get on last week. You're on mute.
Oh, I see Mary now. Hello, Mary.
You?
Yeah,
I didn't.
you're on mute, Mary.
You disappeared on Mary last week.
Oh, it keeps coming back to mute.
Yeah, you're grand now.
But that's okay. No, I was sorry I didn't get last week, and then I was a bit late tonight. And thank you for sending me the link, indeed, Paula. But didn't somebody call in? And I hadn't seen them for about 12 months. And as sure as goodness, I hadn't the heart on me to say, look at, and I should have said it at the very beginning, but of course they were in about 10 minutes when I thought, oh, good God, I'm going to miss Joanne's the night again, you know. But then it went away shortly after 7 and I jumped in immediately.
Well, you couldn't have missed the last night, Mary.
No. Oh, is this the
It is the last night.
last night? Oh, God. Oh, God.
Well, hopefully we'll get something arranged for after Easter. We'll be working on it anyway.
Oh, good girl. I will look at, I know you'll let me have information about
We'll
it.
keep this posted, don't worry.
Oh, good girl. Great.
Yeah, Mary, yeah, it was very quiet without you last week.
I know. That's why I was ashamed to speak up the night at all. I thought, I hope nobody sees me in the leaf. So I was sort of not on video for a wee while, but anyway.
You were spotted there. Joan spotted you.
When I could see you all then, I thought, well, I better take myself off this, you know, put myself on video, you know, but it's great to see everybody indeed.
Oh, it's great to see you back on again. I'm sure you were glad to get visitors, Mary.
I was on a Tuesday with visitors. I didn't want them.
She's moving again.
Anyway.
You're in and out of mute, Mary. I don't know what's
Oh, well, I think I'm okay again. I don't know why. It's me and this laptop don't agree at all. I think it's me. I hate to admit it, but I think it's all my problem.
No, I don't think so.
I'm just whipping up the cream here for the Victoria sponge. Okay. Now, if you want to make buttercream and you don't like cream, you can use, say, 4 ounces of butter. I would use real butter. If you're making icing, butter icing, and then use 8 ounces of icing sugar. Okay.
Joanna, Patricia put something in the chat there. She said she lifted her eye for a minute. And was there anything else to go into the cream, or is it
Yes,
just?
I just added a little bit of vanilla because I didn't put it into the cake. Okay.
All right. Yeah.
So I put vanilla essence into the cream, just a wee drop. Okay, because I forgot to put it into the eggs. So just give it a nice wee flavour. And I'm just using ordinary whipping cream. I don't use Elm Lee. I always just use like fresh whipping cream from Dale Farm. You know, the Elm Lee's okay, but I like this cream better. Or you can use double cream. I couldn't get double cream today, so I'm just using this. But double cream will hold a lot better, you know, if you're making your cake and you want to keep it, you know. And if you don't want to put jam or cream in your cake, just put jam in it. It'll last a lot longer for you. You know, you can put it in a cake tin and have a slice that lasts up to a week. So if you don't put cream in it, it'll only last a couple of days. Unfortunately, because the cream will go off.
Can you, Joanne, can you freeze it, the cake, just the 2 cakes, and then put your cream in?
Yeah, just wrap them in, you know, like this kind of greaseproof paper. You know, that kind of paper.
Yeah.
Greaseproof or parchment paper, and wrap it up, and then cover it with cling film and freeze it.
Yeah.
It'll, yeah. Just be careful when you're putting in your freezer.
It doesn't come out soggy. It doesn't come out soggy, or
No, it's fine. It comes out okay. A lot of people do that, Mary. A lot of people that make cakes will freeze them. You know, if they're doing like wet cakes and stuff, they'll always have extras in their freezer in case.
yeah.
So the cream. So be careful when you're whipping cream, because you see the way it's just come up really, really stiff now. Now, if your cream does that, and you want to make it a little bit more, you know, if your cream, it's called splitting. If your cream splits, it means when it kind of goes yellow and it comes apart and it comes like the milk comes out of it. Just add a little bit more cream into it and it will bring it back. Okay. So I'm just going to leave that over there. So that's the cream done. And I'm going to do what I done. Do you remember last week? Sorry, that's the beeper. Do you remember last week with the jam we done for the sponge? I'm just going to leave it in for another few minutes, because whenever I shook it, it's still a little bit wobbly, you know, so I'm not going to, leave it in for a few minutes. So do you remember last week we done the jam for the coconut jam, and I was saying these about take your jam out of the jar and give it a good mix. Then it's easier to spread, okay? It's easier to spread whenever you're putting it on your cake.
Joanne, do you open the oven at all whenever you're doing your sponge?
No, I never do.
You turn it.
I had it set there for 25 minutes. But whenever at the start, Mary, when I put the timer on, the timer went off again on me for some reason. And so the cake's not ready. It should be ready, but it's not. So I'm giving it another minute. But I've opened the oven just now. I did open it. So, but because it's risen up, it's nearly ready. It won't block. But if you open your oven to check, don't ever open your oven to check your cake. So when your cake's in the oven, leave it in for the time. And if you have a glass oven, that's great, because you can keep an eye on it. If you have a glass door. But if you have your cake in the oven, what happens if you open it, then the air comes out, it's cooler, and your cake will flop. And then you'll have a cake with like a big flop in the middle. So I did it. What did I make?
I'll tell you my problem. Sorry, sometimes my cake will do more on one side than the other. I don't mean underneath, like I mean round the cake, round the sandwich. You know, it sort of bakes more at one side, and I find in a lot of things I need to turn the actual cake around a wee bit. You know.
Yeah. What kind of oven have you got, Mary?
There's no answer to that, is there, Joanne?
Mary, what kind of oven have you got? Is it? What kind of oven do you have?
Well, I have a fan oven or the ordinary oven. I can put it at either, you know.
Yeah. Well, what happens is, do you see this? Do you see this oven here?
Yeah.
If I bake in this oven, Mary, okay, and I put it in that oven there, because the burner is on this side, anything that comes, any cakes that are in there on that side always get cooked quicker. So what I do is I turn it around, and the same in your fan oven, you'll find as well, one side of it will probably cook quicker than the other. So as you were saying about turning, I think that is a big problem in ovens, that you just have to turn it around. But the trouble when you're doing a sponge is you can't really open the oven. You know,
That's
so
right.
you could probably do a halfway through, Mary. Whenever you see your cake is kind of hard on the top, you can maybe do it really quickly. You know, open it really quick and turn it really quickly, or move it over, you know. because there is always like a hot spot in your oven. I always find that, and it's just about maneuvering your stuff around, and you'll find, you know, if you turn things around, then you'll get the other side cooked evenly, you know. So
I would have thought a fan oven distributed the heat better. No.
yeah, it does, Paula. But sometimes, like, I have that oven now about 12 years, you know, and as it's getting older, I find I would have to move stuff around in it as well, you know.
Right.
I think it's just with age. I think that's what happens, you know, if you have an older oven. So you'll
Well,
probably,
actually, I found the opposite, Joanne. I had a great oven, only then the cooker was done, and I had no fan oven on it for years and years, and it was brilliant. You know,
Yeah.
everything seemed to cook evenly.
perfect. Yeah.
But this thing, I have it about 12 months. It's, you know, unless, do you know what? I never tried doing a sponge on the, you know, the ordinary oven, not the fan oven. Maybe if I did it in the ordinary one, it might be okay.
Yeah.
I must try
Yeah,
that.
try that. Try
I
it in
find-
that area and see how it
Yeah.
goes. Yeah, I'm just going to wash.
I find you have to,
Sorry, give me a second.
you're all right, you're fine.
Now that's the beeper. I'm just going to check the cake here. Give me a minute. So I'm just going to check it with a knife, just to make sure. No. My cake's still a little bit sticky, so I've just left it in for another few minutes. Yeah, it says on the recipe 25 minutes, but I have it in now for about 30 minutes, and it's still over 30 minutes, and it's still not cooking. But it's nearly ready, but I don't want to take it out yet because it'll just flop. So I'm just going to leave it for another few minutes. So
Joanna, can I ask you a few things?
yeah, fire away.
Yeah. Just when you were talking about making the sponge there, did you say if you were doing chocolate sponge to take 2 ounces of flour out and just replace it with 2 ounces of cocoa powder?
Yeah, yeah. If you want a little bit darker, you can put like 3 or 4. You know, if you want a darker kind of chocolate cake, you can add a bit more. You know, you can add like 3 or 4 ounces. But if you just want like a basic chocolate, you know, I put about 2 to 3 ounces of cocoa powder.
Okay, and then
some people, I'll just show you this here. So some people make the mistake of using drinking chocolate. You know the way you can buy Cadbury's drinking chocolate? Some people make the mistake of using that, but you have to use this here. It's like Bourneville. It'll say ideal for baking, okay? Or you can use this as a little one. This is really good. It's like a dark chocolate. So I would use that a lot as well. It's cheaper. It's cheaper than that one. I think I just bought that in Spar one night because I couldn't get to little. But that one there is really, really good. So I would use that one, cocoa. So just be careful that you're not using like just drinking chocolate, because a lot of people made that mistake. They think they have like, do you know the one that's kind of like in a purple one of these, and it's really drinking chocolate. It's not cocoa. And then the cake don't turn out. So that's why, it's because make sure it's for baking. Okay.
Okay. And do you still use the vanilla essence with the chocolate cake then?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
You can. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. And sorry, just one more then. If you were just making lemon cake with that, do you just replace the vanilla essence with the lemon flavour?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I just use lemon. I use real lemon, you know, with the lemon. I don't use lemon. I use like whole lemons, you know. So.
And how much would you put in then?
Trying to think of the recipe for it. Probably the juice of 1 lemon, and then I use another lemon for the top, because I make like an icing for the top with lemon and sugar, you know, that you pour over the top of it. So
yeah,
I can't
that's
remember.
what I did.
I will send it to you. I'll write that down actually, so I don't forget.
That's like a lemon drizzle cake, is it, Joanna?
A lemon drizzle. I'll send you the recipe for a coffee one as well, a coffee cake.
Please.
Anybody want any other recipes?
Are you one for chart
Um,
cake?
Paula, thanks very much. I got the recipes. Again, it was my inefficiency on the computer, but I got them all, thank you. And it's
Joanna, I
And
would
Joanna,
love
if you
that
want
recipe.
to, sorry, Palmer, go ahead.
Yeah, I would love a recipe for simple pavlova.
Pavlova, yeah. Okay.
I've never made it, but I would like just a basic just to get me started.
Well, see to do pavlova. I have a KitchenAid. It's like a electric mixer, you know. So
Only the rich people can afford a KitchenAid.
Well, I got that as a Christmas present one year from my husband, so he was thinking ahead.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, no designer handbags in this house. He just buys me. One Christmas he bought me Aga pots for that Aga sauce. He's so romantic.
Joanne, is a banana cake easy to make? And if you have a
Banana
recipe for that, yeah, banana cake.
Banana cake, yeah, banana bread.
Either or.
We had a
Yeah.
banana bread recipe in our easing last year. If you wanted to check out our own website, our easings, we had banana bread way last year and one of them. But Joanna, Patricia's just put in the chat there that she'd love a stew. A stew recipe, even though we're on a baking course, but I'm thinking to myself, if you want to send me any recipes, Joanna, we can send them out to everybody.
Yeah.
But we may do another course, so we don't know what we may cover stew. We don't know.
Yeah, we could do. I was thinking if I was doing courses coming up to the summer, I'll be doing like summer recipes, but I can also do stews. And I'll just take this cake out and I'll tell you the pavlova.
Okay.
We probably should be doing healthy recipes next.
Yeah.
Well, no, that would,
Whether I want healthy recipes or not, I like the ones that
the
aren't.
summer recipes would be really good, actually. And so, you know, things for barbecues and that kind of thing would be good, yeah.
All the nice salad.
Aye, all the nice
stuff, yeah.
salads, yeah, that would be good. I don't want this to end. It's so good.
I know I've forfeited my Pilates for this.
Bit of a difference.
I have lots of on my website. I have ebooks, you know, and on the sale on them at the moment. They all come with videos. If anybody's interested in them, I think the sale's over tomorrow. But anyway, if anybody's interested, you know. But I would do lots of videos. So there's a link then to YouTube, you know, so you have a link to my videos.
Very
But so they're on the website if anybody's interested. But I'll send you those recipes. So that's the Victoria sponge there. I'll let it cool down for a few.
That looks perfect, Joanna.
To see how tickets come up.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Gorgeous. Look,
That's using 5 eggs.
lovely, and it's so easy.
Yeah, it's so easy. Like, once you make one of them, you know, you'll never buy another shop bought cake. Once you can make your own, honest to God, you can, you know, you save yourself a fortune.
I read a tip. I think it was on Facebook or something, where somebody was saying that they would never eat. You know, it would be too much having two of them, and how could they make a Victoria sponge? And the tip was that to reduce the recipe and just do one circle and then half it and then put it on top of each other, the two halves.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you sure look how thick they are, you know.
Yeah.
Quite thick. But I always think if you're making a Victoria sponge, it's nice to have it thick. You know, you can do them thinner, you know, you can do
Woman
like,
after my own heart,
I know.
for the best.
I love cake. So if you want to do that in 3 tins, 3 of them, okay? You could do it in 3 of them, and then you'd have 3 layers. Do you know what I mean? And then you can fill each layer if you want. But then I think they're nice that size, you know, that thick. I think it's nice with the jam and the cream, but I don't know now. That's taking a bit longer for some reason tonight. I don't know why. I usually can do this and then decorate for the end of class, but it's going to be very hot to put the jam and cream. But I'll tell you about the pavlova. Just I'll send you the recipe, but I'll just give you a few tips for the pavlova. So if you make the pavlova, always make sure the bowl that you're using is really clean and there's no water or grease in it, okay? Because that can affect it. The eggs won't mix up. So if you separate your egg whites from your egg yolks and keep them in 2 separate bowls, and make sure there's no yolk, because you're going to use the whites for pavlova. Okay, so make sure there's no yolk. And if you're cracking your eggs up for pavlova, I always crack them into 1 bowl and then put them into the big bowl. So if you get any broken yolk, you know, if I'm cracking them, I separate them into 1 bowl and then I pour it into the big bowl, you know.
Yeah, because
So
you're not let waste the
if
whole lot
you're
then.
doing it in the big bowl and one of the eggs has a little bit of yolk, you're going to have to try and get rid of it and, you know, waste your eggs. So if you do them, crack them individually into little bowls, into 1 bowl, and then make sure your egg whites have no yolk, no grease, or no water in the bowl. And then whisk it up, and I would do it on that whisker. So you need an electric whisk for this, because see, to do it by hand, you'd be there all day. So whisk it up, and whenever you can make like figure of 8, and it's like peaks, you know, like white, fluffy, it's like marshmallow, you know, like.
How many eggs, Joanna, for a small pavlova?
For a small pavlova, you could do 4. So for every egg, it's 2 ounces of sugar.
Right.
So once you whisk up your egg whites, okay, whisk them up really, really thick, and then gradually start adding in a teaspoon of sugar, and just keep your mixer going on slow speed, and then just add in a teaspoon of sugar or a tablespoon of sugar at a time, you know, and let it mix. And then once you have all that done, then I would add in like a dessert spoon of vinegar. So you can use white wine vinegar or white vinegar, and a teaspoon of or a tablespoon of corn flour as well. Okay. And then when you're putting the vinegar and the corn flour in, you have to fold them in. You see the way I did with the flour? You fold it in real gently. So then all you do.
Joanna, sorry, Joanna, did you say it was white vinegar?
White wine vinegar.
White wine vinegar. And how much corn flour?
I would use like a dessert, one of these spoons of each. Just like a dessert spoon of each, okay? And then what that does is that makes it like crunchy on the outside, and then it's kind of soft in the middle, you know. So what I do then, I'll just show you this trick whenever I'm doing pavlova. If I can find my dish, right? Hold on, I have a dish here. No, I have a glass dish. Wait till I show you. Oh yeah, this one here. So what I do is I line that with tin foil. Okay, so this is kind of like a tray bake pavlova. So once you fold in your corn flour and your vinegar, okay, I would cover that in tin foil, cover all the way up, you know, over to the side with tin foil, and then I tip it in and I bake it for an hour at 150 degrees. And then once the hour is up, turn off the oven and leave it in your oven for another hour. Okay, so it takes 2 hours altogether. Don't open your oven, just keep your oven door closed and leave it in. So what happens is it'll be crunchy on the top whenever you take it out of the oven, and then you can tip it upside down, so you have your crunchy bit on the bottom then and your marshmallow on the top. So it's kind of soft on the top. And then you put your fresh fruit and your cream and decorate it then, you know, so your crunchy bit will be on the bottom. Okay. But if you want, I'll maybe do a video someday, because everybody keeps asking me about it. It's just very noisy when you're using the mixer and you're trying to do a workshop. You know, I try not to use it because it's too noisy, and then people can't hear what you're saying.
Joanne, for that size of a dish, it would take more than, how many eggs would you have for that? About 6 or?
Well, for that dish there, I would use 6. Yeah, I would use 6 eggs and 12 ounces of sugar. So for 1 egg, you use 2 ounces of caster sugar.
Yeah.
So for 4 eggs, it's 8 ounces of sugar.
Yeah, but you can also do them in that size there. So the 4 eggs would probably do that size, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really like a pavlova tray bake, because some people make pavlova and then they'll use the greaseproof paper and they'll pipe it out into a circle, you know, and keep the bottom of it as flat, and then they'll pipe around, you know, like a pavlova ring, you know. But I like to do them in the big dishes, because whenever you cut into it, then you've got like a big crunch on the bottom, and then the top of it is like soft.
Yeah.
You would spread that right out to the corners of that dish, Joanna, would you?
Yeah, right out the corners, yeah.
Yeah.
And make sure you have your tin foil coming out over the side of the dish. Put your tin foil all the way out to the side, you know, so when you can lift it out. So whenever it's cool, you keep it in your oven for an hour after it's cooked, and then leave it out and cover it with like greaseproof paper and tin foil till you're ready to use it. Okay.
Yeah. Well,
And then you can just lift it. You can just lift it up.
do you grease?
Sorry?
Do you grease your tin foil before you put
I
the
don't grease it.
mixture
No, I don't
into it? Do
grease
you
it.
grease
I just use tin foil. I don't grease it or anything. No,
and it
comes out perfect.
comes out fine without, it
Yeah.
doesn't stick to the
No,
tin foil, no.
it just,
Thank you,
what happens is when it's cooked, all you do is peel off the tin foil and you're left with a lovely layer, you know, the soft bit on the bottom, you know, and you just peel it off. So
Yeah, there's nothing as awful as pavlova that's too hard.
it's not honest to God, Pamela, it's so easy to make. Once you make it once, you'll be flying.
You know what I'm saying is nothing as awful as pavlova that turns out, you know, that's real hard and crunchy all the way.
Yeah. I know that.
Donna, you see that dish that you showed us that you use the pavlova? How many eggs did you use for like that size of a dish?
I use about 6 for that size of a dish.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I also do like a roasting tray whenever I'm doing it for a party. I have like a big roasting tray, so I would do like 8 eggs, 10 eggs, and then 20 ounces of, you know, a double whatever eggs I'm using. So you can do it like in a big like roasting tray, you know, if you're having it like for a Sunday dinner or somebody's coming for lunch, you know.
Yeah. And it rises good and high, does it, Joanna?
It does, it comes up, yeah, it comes up right up. So practice with the 4-egg one first, you know, before you start doing the big one. And you'll find, you know, it's I'll send you the recipe anyway. I'll write that down. Pavlova, lemon drizzled coffee. So, Irish stew. Is that Irish stew or just ordinary stew?
Patricia just said stew. She didn't say Irish stew. She just said
Just
stew.
go on, I think, isn't she?
What's the difference, Joanne? Or do you put shamrocks in?
No, Irish stew would be made with lamb maybe, or you can use beef. But what you do with Irish stew is it's layers of stew of beef and onion and carrots and potatoes. But like in all, and it's a thick stew, you know, whenever you go to eat it, you're spooning it out. Like it's like thick, you know, the potatoes make it quite thick.
Yeah, it's nice and chunky. Patricia said ordinary stew.
Ordinary stew, yeah.
Everybody's leaving. Sorry.
I didn't even get to finish this. I'll let it cool down. It's still
Joanna, do you want to leave it and then if it can't be done now till it's cooled down, you could take a picture of it for me and I'll send it out to everybody and everybody can watch the video anyway. Unless you
Okay, thank you, Joanna.
Yeah. So
we spoil it for your mother-in-law tomorrow, Joanne, if it's still too hot.
She'll be delighted.
Don't do that.
Now what I was going to say is the stew. If you're making stew, always braise or steal your beef first. Okay. So what that means is heat up a pot or a pan and use a bit of oil and fry your meat before you put it into your stew. Because what that does is it browns it, so your stew will be nice and brown, and it keeps the flavor in the meat as well. So it keeps all the flavor in the stew while it's stewing, you know. So always seal your meat. Some people just put all their meat in with the onions and the carrots and the water and stock, and then bring it to the boil. But if you seal your meat first, it gives it more flavor. So yeah.
Thank you,
But
Joanna.
I'll maybe do another class sometime on that. Okay.
Yeah.
Joanna, can I ask with the cake there? So do you put the jam on first? Is that what you're planning to do?
I'm gonna put the jam on. I'll put the jam on both sides, okay, then cream on and cover it up, okay. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to use some strawberries. I'm going to cut them in half. Oops. So I'm going to cut the strawberries in half, and I'm going to pipe a little bit of cream around here, and then put the strawberries on the top. Okay, and then I'll just use the sieve, and I'll just sprinkle it with ice and sugar on when it's finished. Okay, so. And you always leave the little green, just one, as long as it's washed, just you leave the little green things on, you know, it just gives a bit more colour. Okay? Or if you want to put strawberries inside it, you can put strawberries in it, but it's still quite hot, so I don't really want to put the cream on it now because it'll just run off.
That's
Okay.
grand, Joanna, but could you take a picture of it whenever you get it finished
I will
and send it to me, and we can
Yeah.
send it out? And
Yeah.
we'll send it out tomorrow along with the link to the video on our YouTube channel and the picture of what the finished
Yeah.
product looks like. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Joanna.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll get another one organised after Easter. We haven't really got all our classes organised for after Easter. We're kind of not sure. We're coming out of lockdown. It's hard to plan stuff when you don't know how you'll be coming out.
You don't know what's going to happen. So.
But we'll
But,
keep it all posted anyway. And I just want to wish you all a happy Easter.
Yeah.
Okay?
Thank you, Paula and Joanne,
Thank you.
everybody on the group.
Cheers, Paula. Thanks a million.
Bye.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks a
Thank
million.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.